In the beginning, we see a 5-star hotel where our female lead, Qing Shan, works as an assistant chef. She often comes late to work, which leads to scoldings from the head chefs, but she is an excellent cook. One day, the head chef announces that their new boss is visiting the hotel, so everyone must be on their best behavior. Qing Shan prepares her famous fried rice to be served for the new boss. She goes out to get the final seasoning for the dish, asking her colleague Trumpet to keep an eye on the food. Trumpet leaves the storeroom to take a phone call, and Qing Shan returns to a storeroom full of fire. Our male lead, Jian Yu, enters the hotel and tries to activate the emergency alarm in the fire-lit storeroom. Qing Shan, who had rushed out to fetch water to put out the fire, splashed the water on Jian Yu's face, blaming him for the cause of the fire. Ignoring her, Jian Yu activates the fire alarm, and the other chefs come running on hearing the fire alarm. The manager, Shen, gets furious with Qing Shan, and she takes all the blame without mentioning Trumpet's involvement in the accident and gets fired from the job. Jian Yu's assistant, Meng Xin, asks the manager to serve all the special dishes to the new boss. Jian Yu kept rejecting every dish and was unhappy, which upset all the chefs, including manager Shen, who started fearing that he might lose his job. Shen reminds his chefs to stay on the good side of Jian Yu, as he will be their new boss, and Trumpet suggests Qing Shan's famous fried rice to be served. Initially, Jian Yu refused to eat as he was tired with all the low-standard food being served. He eventually tries the dish and loves it instantly and insists on meeting the chef. However, the manager lies that the chef is on annual leave, which sounds strange to Jian Yu. He gets disappointed, which makes the manager nervous. Shen informs that he will be canceling the chef's leave immediately. On the other hand, Qing Shan goes to meet her best friend Xu Jiao in a parking lot, and she tries to prank her friend by sticking dough in her car. She had chosen the wrong car, and it turned out to be Jian Yu's car. Jian Yu fails to recognize her as his former employee, demands her to repeat the actions, and starts recording her. Qing Shan pleads that she will compensate for the damages, requests Jian Yu to share his number. Unable to find any paper, she asks him to write the number on her forehead. Jian Yu stares at her for a moment before finally coming to his senses. He writes his number on her bag and warns her to call him with the compensation within 30 minutes. Failing to do so, he will lodge a complaint with the police. Qing Shan describes the incident to her friend that took place in the parking lot and begs her to help with the compensation. Xu Jiao refuses to help and leaves saying it was all her fault. Qing Shan goes to her uncle seeking help, but he refuses to help too. Back home, Jian Yu's face lit up on receiving a call from his mother. The conversation lasted for hardly a few minutes and was limited only to business matters. This brings him down as she had forgotten that it was birthday. He prepares some noodles as a birthday dinner. Meng Xin arrives at his home with an unusual gift. Meanwhile, Qing Shan meets her grandpa, who runs a small hotel. He learns that his granddaughter has again lost her job and offers to help her with some money. When she refuses, he convinces her to take the money by saying that she will be the one to take care of his funeral rites after his death. The young chef then walks into the kitchen and starts preparing one of the orders placed by the customer, and at the same moment, Jian Yu walks into the restaurant, as this was the only place that was open so late at night. The waiter, by mistake, serves him the dish prepared by Qing Shan. With the first bite, he felt the same way as how he had felt back in his hotel and emptied his plate completely. Unable to stop himself, Jian Yu walks into the kitchen to meet the chef who had prepared such a delicious meal and sees a female worker cooking with her back turned towards him. She had bound her hair with a spoon, and before Jian Yu could see her face, Qing Shan's grandpa came in and asked what he wanted. Upon hearing this, Qing Shan quietly escapes from there, hiding her face. Jian Yu inquires grandpa about the female worker, but the latter flatly refuses that there are no female workers working in his hotel. Afterwards, the grandpa finds a letter on the table from his granddaughter along with the money, politely denying taking his money. Trumpet visits Qing Shan in her home, which annoys her deeply. He apologizes and recalls everything that had happened in the hotel in her absence, and informs her that manager Shen wants her back at work immediately, as the new boss likes the food cooked only by her. Back in the hotel, Jian Yu is served with the dish cooked by Qing Shan, which doesn't fail to impress him again. Qing Shan walks into her manager's office and negotiates for a pay rise and a promotion. At first, manager Shen disagrees, but finally he had to bow down to her demands as he had no other option. Qing Shan goes into the kitchen and starts reading the food order list like an official chef. However, Shen interrupts her and tells her that she will be cooking food only for their soon-to-be new boss. Happy with her promotion, Qing Shan decides to treat her friend and uncle to a party. They book a room at the same hotel where Qing Shan works, for which she refuses, saying that she hasn't earned enough to cover the cost and still needs to compensate the Ferrari owner whose car she damaged. Xu Zhao convinces her to host the party at the hotel anyway, and they get drunk and make a lot of noise disturbing Jian Yu, who is staying in the next room, 1123. Qing Shan drinks until she falls unconscious, after which both Xu Zhao and her uncle leave her behind and go. Drunk, Qing Shan jumps into room 1123 through the balcony. Hearing the loud noise, Jian Yu quickly runs to the window and opens it. Seeing her, he realizes that she is the same person who ruined his Ferrari. Qing Shan falls on him unconscious, spilling her drink all over his shirt. With great difficulty, Jian Yu carries her to the bedroom, puts her on his bed, and calls his assistant, Meng Xin, who doesn't answer his call. He goes to the bathroom to change his stained clothes and then hears a loud thud. Rushing back to bed, he finds Qing Shan on the floor. He lifts her back onto the bed and places a pillow down so she won't get hurt if she falls again. Meanwhile, across town, in a bar, Meng Xin sees Xu Zhao for the first time and immediately goes over to talk to her. They both exchange fake names and start conversing. He excuses himself to leave after receiving a call from Jian Yu. Meng Xin arrives at his boss's room to find a young woman fast asleep on the bed and teases Jian Yu, saying he is really looking forward for bringing a woman to his room so quickly. Jian Yu tells him to stop teasing and explains the whole situation, including that she's the one who ruined his Ferrari. Meng Xin goes back into the room to explain the compensation terms to Qing Shan, only to find the bed empty. The next morning, Qing Shan tells her friend everything. She explains how she had jumped onto the balcony of room 1123, and the owner turned out to be the man whose Ferrari she had damaged and had to pretend to be unconscious due to this. When he put her to bed and started calling someone, she thought that something bad was going to happen to her. Trying to escape, she fell off the bed. She saw Jian Yu in discussion with someone in the other room. Qing Shan quickly escaped wearing one of Jian Yu's shoes, as she was wearing only one shoe. Xu Zhao fears that she might be fired from her job after this incident. Qing Shan assures her that he only knows her as the person who had ruined his Ferrari, but he is not aware that she is also a chef in the hotel. As long as she hides from him, her job is safe. Later that day, when Qing Shan is at her hotel kitchen, Jian Yu orders a few dishes to be prepared from red wine. She prepares some amazing dishes and sends them to Jian Yu's room. Jian Yu likes all the dishes and insists on meeting the chef. Manager Shen orders Qing Shan to meet him, but she refuses. Even after forcing her so much, she doesn't agree. While Jian Yu waits for the female chef, Trumpet walks into the room with a covered plate. When asked why the chef hasn't come, Trumpet responds that the chef feels very uncomfortable confronting him because she considers herself very ugly, which makes Jian Yu more eager to meet her. Trumpet reveals the tray, which contains a glass of water and an egg. Jian Yu cracks the puzzle, saying that it symbolizes if the food tastes good, then there is no need to search for the chicken that has given the egg. Unable to wait any longer, Jian Yu heads towards the kitchen, and Trumpet immediately informs Qing Shan about this over the phone. Qing Shan tries to leave the kitchen but sees Jian Yu approaching. Before he can see her, she runs away, dropping her scarf. He picks up the scarf and follows her. Qing Shan comes out in a different outfit with a mask on and passes Jian Yu without him noticing her. He asks her to stop and turn around and stares at her for a moment. He then walks away, saying that he has mistaken her for someone else, but then returns to give her the scarf. He realizes that she is the same girl whom he met during the fire incident. For the next few days, Qing Shan was confused about whether Jian Yu recognized her. Manager Shen walks into the kitchen and gives her an order list for 10 potato dishes. She starts getting help from the other chefs, but Manager Shen stops her, saying she must cook alone for the guest in room 1123. This worries Qing Shan, but she manages to cook all the dishes by herself. Jian Yu greatly enjoys the food with his assistant. To test her cooking skills further, he sends the order list, requiring 10 dishes per ingredient. Qing Shan works alone and produces yet another set of delicious dishes. At the end of all this, exhausted, she falls asleep in the kitchen overnight. The next morning, Manager Shen finds Shengyan asleep on the kitchen counter. He wakes her up and asks her to go outside for some fresh air to prepare herself for the day. Meanwhile, Jian Yu is on the phone as Qing Shan steps out to get some fresh air. She starts playing with an air doll. She blows air into the other ball, and the force with which the doll is filled with air hits Jian Yu on the head, causing him to fall into the pool. Worried, Qing Shan and her manager visit Jian Yu's assistant to apologize with a bouquet. He informs them that Jian Yu had a fever, but is fine now and they can leave. Meng Xin recognizes Qing Shan as the girl who damaged Jian Yu's Ferrari. He discusses with Jian Yu that ever since she appeared, there have been troubles in Jian Yu's life. They conclude that she might be taking revenge on Jian Yu, and Meng Xin even suggests she likes Jian Yu so much that she wants to ruin his life. Later in the night, Jian Yu sends in an order for witch's brew. By then, all the chefs were leaving for the day. Trumpet gives the order received to Qing Shan and wonders if Jian Yu is aware what witch's brew is and concludes that she would prepare a simple mushroom soup. Trumpet wonders why she doesn't want to prepare witch's brew for Jian Yu. She responds saying that witch's brew doesn't have a specific recipe, but it has all the ingredients which a lover likes, and it is mixed with red wine, and that's why it is also called the recipe of lovers. Hearing this, Trumpet teases her, saying that the person in 1123 likes her, which irritates Qing Shan. Trumpet leaves for the day and Qing Shan starts preparing the soup. Jian Yu is anxious, waiting and not receiving his soup on time, and calls reception to check the status. Hearing no answer, he goes down to the kitchen to check on the soup and sees it being cooked on the stove. The aroma of the soup smells wonderful, and he resists himself from tasting the soup. The soup tastes delicious, so he also picks up the mushroom to eat. He instantly falls unconscious, and Qing Shan walks in at that moment, and he falls over her. Misunderstanding that Jian Yu is out to get her, Qing Shan cries out loud that she would compensate him for the Ferrari, but Jian Yu falls unconscious on the floor. At first, Qing Shan feels that she might be being fooled by him, but looking at the open soup bowl, she figures out that Jian Yu has tasted the uncooked soup. She immediately brings a bowl of soap water, makes him drink it, and starts slapping him so that he vomits. Jian Yu vomits, and Qing Shan holds him in her lap with concern and asks if he feels better. Soap bubbles start coming out of Jian Yu's mouth, which amuses her. Next morning, Jian Yu, lying on his bed, watches the CCTV footage of last night's incident on his phone. The security team had made the video viral, which embarrasses Jian Yu a lot. Meng Xin comes in to check on him and comforts him, saying not to be embarrassed with the situation, and he would take him out to eat something. When they come out of the room, they see Manager Shen with his whole staff waiting to apologize for the situation. This further embarrasses Jian Yu, and he tries to head back into the room but can't, since the card to unlock the room was left inside. The employees move aside, making way for Qing Shan, who walks in the middle of the line. She apologizes for the incident, but Jian Yu flatly refuses her apology, citing that he's not embarrassed, and he would neither bother her nor eat the food cooked by her, and tries to go back into the room. Seeing this, Manager Shen offers an alternate card to the room through which Qing Shan unlocks the door and Jian Yu goes back into his room. Manager Shen was very upset with Qing Shan for nearly poisoning Jian Yu. Qing Shan denies that it was her mistake if Jian Yu drank soup which was not properly cooked. She fails to convince her manager and gets fired from the job. In a restaurant, Jian Yu has lunch with his assistant, but the food tastes bland. He realizes that his taste in food has upgraded in the past few days. On the other hand, Qing Shan sends out applications for all the available jobs, but doesn't receive any callbacks. As soon as her phone rings, she starts giving her details, but turns out it was a call from Meng Xin reminding her to pay compensation for the car, and this would be her final day to pay for, which she refuses. Meng Xin disconnects the call, warning her to meet them in court for the settlement. While waiting for a taxi, Xu Jiao sees Meng Xin stop the car in front of her and offers her a ride. She sits in the car and listens to the audio message from Qing Shan, which says that she will be borrowing the money from her grandpa to pay for the compensation, and if she fails to get the money, she would end up in jail. At this instance, they both find out that Xu Jiao is Qing Shan's friend, and Meng Xin works for Jian Yu. They have dinner together, but Xu Jiao starts losing interest in him after finding out that he just works for Jian Yu. Qing Shan goes to her grandpa and begs him to lend her some money, but he refuses. Finally, he agrees to her working in his restaurant on a daily wage basis. Jian Yu asks Meng Xin to order food, but he informs that Qing Shan has been fired from her job. Meng Xin drives him around town looking for the best hotels, but Jian Yu doesn't find any of them appealing, so finally they go to Qing Shan's grandpa's hotel. Her grandpa asks Qing Shan not to cook in the kitchen in his absence, and decides to throw away the dish that she has made. But Jian Yu insists on eating that dish, upon which Qing Shan points out how he can come to the place where she works. He brushes her off, saying that he was not aware of her working in that restaurant. Amid all this, one of the drunk customers refuses to pay for his food. Qing Shan throws a bottle which finds its target on Jian Yu's head, who is about to eagerly take a bite from his food and falls unconscious. In the hospital, the doctor informs that Jian Yu is fine and barely had a scratch on his head, and the reason for unconsciousness is lack of food. Qing Shan arrives at the hospital, and Meng Xin hands the hospitalization bill, asking her to compensate for 1 lakhs yuan, which was way out of her ability, so she requests that she be allowed to return the amount in installments. They ask her to sign a contract to cook for Jian Yu until the amount she owes is recovered. Next day, Qing Shan steals a fish from her grandpa's restaurant and starts preparing a delicious meal. Jian Yu walks to her home, and on the way, he feels quite uncomfortable as this was his first time experience walking in a street filled with middle-class people. Qing Shan greets him into her home dressed as a waitress with the table and dinner arranged like that of a hotel. She serves him his dinner and hands him an expensive bill at the end, which includes the service tax and other taxes along with the food price. This surprises him, but he signs the bill and walks out quietly. Qing Shan celebrates her victory with her uncle and friend, since they are the ones who had come up with this idea. The second day, Jian Yu arrives in her apartment, but this time he brings his assistant along with him who does all the serving. Qing Shan is dumbfounded as she cannot charge him the amount like she did the previous day. She tells this to her uncle and friend, and they come up with another plan. When Jian Yu arrives the next day, he's stunned to see Qing Shan dressed beautifully and couldn't take his eyes off her. She reads out the bill for yuan, out of which she had charged 2,000 yuan for the dessert. Jian Yu nods in agreement and starts to eat. Qing Shan moves closer to him and asks if the dessert is worth so much money, which makes Jian Yu uncomfortable. She hands him the bill in which she had included her hair and dress charges. Jian Yu quietly signs the bill and is about to eat his dessert. Qing Shan takes it away, saying that it has turned cold, which surprises Jian Yu. After going back quietly, he recalls the incident with his assistant. Meng Xin immediately points out that she had fooled him so that she could charge him more and finish the debt. Jian Yu declares that it is impossible to seduce him. Meng Xin gives him an idea on how to get back at her. The next day, Jian Yu arrived at Qing Shan's apartment with a bouquet, and she was happy to see the flowers as she needed them for cooking. His plan A had failed. Now it was time to implement plan B. He starts to read a book, with sunlight falling on his face. Qing Shan stares at him for a while and he smiles, which brings her back to her senses. She tells him that guests are not allowed to sit in the kitchen, but Jian Yu just stays back, saying he wants to be sure that his food won't be poisoned. Qing Shan starts burning chilies, the heat from which forces Jian Yu to move out of the kitchen. She then offers him a sweet and sits close to him and wipes his mouth with a cloth, which he feels is seductive, but he comes back to his senses and in turn wipes her hair, saying there is sugar stuck in her hair. Qing Shan feels shy, and Jian Yu manages to go away without paying the bill. The following day, Qing Shan, all dressed up, performs in front of Jian Yu after serving him food and charges way more than usual. He asked her for a pen to sign the bill, and she tried to reach for the pen on top of the bookshelf. Offering to help, Jian Yu stands behind her and acts like trying to reach for the pen, in the process wrapping her in his jacket. Qing Shan loses herself in his perfume fragrance for a while. Feeling embarrassed, she runs into her room and Jian Yu walks out without paying the bill. With each passing day, they had grown close to each other, and with that, Qing Shan's debt had increased too, since she would have either spoiled his coat one day, or it's something or the other. One day, there was a faulty bulb in the house, and Jian Yu offered to help, saying that she might fall as it was dark in the corridor. But Qing Shan refuses and goes over to check on it herself. Jian Yu steps on her slippers accidentally, which makes her fall into his arms. Qing Shan starts falling in love with Jian Yu and couldn't stop thinking about him. When she gets an offer for a job interview, she doesn't accept it as she had to cook for Jian Yu. He starts buying things and changes the look of Qing Shan's house. He even puts up a chandelier for which Qing Shan points out that it's going to cost her a lot on the electricity bill. Days pass by. Qing Shan's uncle visits her one day, seeking her help to work as a model in his new project, for which she doesn't agree, stating she has to cook for Jian Yu and doesn't have the time. Uncle wonders out loud if they had turned into a couple, and Qing Shan denies talking about it. Jian Yu, who had gone out to buy vinegar, comes back and Qing Shan's uncle introduces himself to Jian Yu. On receiving the water supply, Qing Shan's uncle searches for a card to pay for the delivery, but Jian Yu pays the bill from his card. He then asks Uncle to place the water can in its place, but Uncle finds it heavy. After Qing Shan serves them food, Uncle starts to eat, but Jian Yu doesn't touch his plate and waits for Qing Shan to join so that they can eat together. Returning from Qing Shan's house, her uncle immediately calls Xu Zhao and recalls all that had happened back at his niece's place. He also wonders out aloud as to what's happening between Jian Yu and Qing Shan. Winding up her kitchen work, Qing Shan comes into the living room to find Jian Yu fast asleep on her sofa. She clicks pictures of him and goes close to him to click a selfie. At that moment, Jian Yu wakes up, which makes Qing Shan fall on him and kiss him accidentally. This embarrasses both, and Qing Shan finally speaks out that it was just an accident. After Jian Yu leaves, Qing Shan looks at the pictures she had taken and feels very happy. Even after going back to the hotel, Jian Yu couldn't stop thinking about Qing Shan. The next morning, Jian Yu's secretary, Li Man, flew all the way from Switzerland to meet Jian Yu in his hotel room, only to not find him there. Meng Xin was astonished to see her, to which she replied that Jian Yu had not been responding to her calls, so she had to come down herself to meet him and not to inform Jian Yu about her arrival yet. She picks up Jian Yu's coat, out of which Qing Shan's resume falls. Meng Xin quickly tries to hide it from her, but Li Man takes it from him. She waits for Jian Yu. looking at a bracelet and recollects a memory from the past. One day when they were working very late in the office dealing with a critical situation, Jian Yu's girlfriend storms into his office questioning him about not receiving her calls. He tries to explain, but his girlfriend says that he had been spending more time with his secretary than with her, and makes him choose either her or his secretary. Jian Yu responds that he can find many girlfriends, but he will not be able to find a secretary like Li Man. At present, Li Man assures herself that Jian Yu's choice would remain the same, which indicates that Li Man is in love with him. When Jian Yu walked into his room carrying all the candies prepared by Qing Shan, he was shocked to find Li Man there. She questions him as to how long Jian Yu had been planning to stay back. Jian Yu had not found the right manager for the hotel, to which Li Man reacts that she has already found the one, and the interview is set to happen tomorrow, and that she had repeatedly called and sent him messages to inform the same, to which there had been no reply from his end, so she had to come down to the hotel in person. She reminds him that he must get back to Switzerland to resume his work, and walks away. This worries Jian Yu, and he receives a voice message from Qing Shan asking him when he would be coming home, to which he replies that he wants to take her out for dinner. Qing Shan couldn't control her happiness, thinking that Jian Yu would be taking her on a date. At dinner, Qing Shan offers Jian Yu the sweet walnut that she made specially for him. Jian Yu tastes it and informs her that she can have her job back at the hotel, to which Qing Shan responds that she can have the job any other time, but now all she wants to do is cook for him and ask what other dishes he would like to try. Jian Yu asks her if she needs any other favors from him. Qing Shan wonders why he is talking in a loving manner today and asks if he wants to eat more meals cooked by her. He informs her that her debt has been cleared and henceforth she can stop cooking for him. Qing Shan says that he can still come over to eat for free. Jian Yu confesses that the food-making contract was just for fun and he will be flying back to Switzerland. She wishes him a safe flight and returns home. After this incident, Qing Shan remains sad and tells herself that she has not fallen for Jian Yu. Whenever she's sad, she goes over to the market to buy vegetables. Looking at her depressed face, the shopkeepers get worried, because whenever Qing Shan is sad, she bargains and buys the vegetables for almost half the price. She throws away all the items that Jian Yu had brought for her house, and watching TV at home, she gets lost in his thoughts. While returning home at night, since the chandelier given by Jian Yu was not working, the corridor was dark, and Qing Shan steps on a banana peel, falls and fractures her leg. Qing Shan's uncle and friend come over to meet Qing Shan the next morning. Xu Jiao recollects telling her that love hurts, and they both make fun of Qing Shan's love story. Li Man questions Jian Yu about the interview status for the manager post. Jian Yu asks her to handle it since she is acquainted with the candidate. In his room, Jian Yu starts scrolling through the photos of food prepared by Qing Shan. Upon seeing this, Meng Xin asks if he's going to fill his stomach just by looking at the photo, or if he's missing someone. Jian Yu puts him off by saying that he's just hungry, and Meng Xin steps outside to get something for dinner. He pulls one of his drawers where he had stored the sweet walnuts. Looking at these, he starts missing Qing Shan very much, in her grandpa's hotel. Qing Shan gets advised by Xu Jiao that she should not be roaming around as there is a fracture in her leg. When Xu Jiao leaves for her office, Qing Shan's childhood friend, Cheng Ziqian, appears, which triggers a memory from her childhood. She met Cheng when she was a little girl, running from her grandpa's hotel after having an argument with him. Cheng takes her to his home and offers her food to eat. She innocently asks him if he would also be upset with her, just like her grandpa. He affectionately pats her head, saying no. He pats her head again, which pulls her back to the present, and exclaims his name smiling. On the way to work, Xu Jiao receives a call from Meng Xin, who starts to flirt with her. The waiter who comes to take his order misunderstands him and complains to her boyfriend, who punches his face. This causes a bruise on his face. He meets Jian Yu, who asks if he had spoken to Qing Shan's friend. He replies if he hadn't called, he would not have landed this punch. Jian Yu asks him about Qing Shan. After beating around the bush, finally Meng Xin wonders out aloud if Qing Shan would have been discharged from the hospital, which startles Jian Yu. Meng Xin informs him that Qing Shan had fallen down the stairs and fractured her leg. Hearing this, Jian Yu immediately tried to book a flight to Sunai, but due to a typhoon, all the flights were canceled. He also tried to book a train, but there were no trains heading towards the city at that time. Without any other way, he boards a taxi and informs Meng Xin. This shocks Meng Xin, as it will take Jian Yu almost 10 hours to reach Sunai, but this doesn't bother Jian Yu, as his priority is to meet Qing Shan. He asks his assistant to take care of office matters in his absence. On the way, the taxi driver boards a few other passengers, which irritates Jian Yu. Cheng and Qing Shan were talking to each other, and he told her that he was working in a Hotel Sakura, but he has returned now. He points out that Qing Shan has changed a lot, and he almost couldn't recognize her and drops her home. The taxi driver who is driving Jian Yu boards a lady passenger, who thanks him because she will not be able to find any other taxi this late in the night. But the driver informs the lady to thank Jian Yu, who is sitting behind him as he's traveling to a far city. The lady thanks him and asks if he's traveling so far to sort love matter, for which Jian Yu doesn't answer. She continues talking about how her husband is poor, but he learned to sew and gifted her a handmade sweater out of love, which she wears all the time. The lady also says it often happens that if you love someone, they start loving you back, which reminds Jian Yu of Qing Shan. The lady then offered Jian Yu some sandwiches, and he ate in a hurry as he was very hungry. When the lady gets down at her destination, Jian Yu praises her beautiful sweater, and she wishes him good luck with his love. Jian Yu reaches the city early in the morning, but the driver drops him off at a secluded place and informs him that his brother will drop him at the destination, as his car won't move further than this. When Jian Yu waits for the driver's brother, a man approaches him and offers the ride. Looking at the rickshaw, Jian Yu couldn't believe the things happening to him. He reached Qing Shan's house as Cheng was dropping her off. Jian Yu inquires about Cheng, but Qing Shan refuses to tell him anything, stating this doesn't concern, and asks why he has returned. Looking at his state, Qing Shan asks if he had no time to blow dry his hair, to which Jian Yu replies that from the moment he heard that she had fallen down the stairs, he couldn't stop himself and had to see her. So Qing Shan tells him that it was her fault that she fell down the stairs, but if something were to happen to her in future, she will not let Jian Yu find out about it. Hearing this, Jian Yu kisses her, but Qing Shan pushes him away and he leaves. Jian Yu calls Meng Xin asking him to pick him up, but he denies, reminding him that he's in a different city. Li Man overhears their conversation and asks Meng Xin as to why Jian Yu has traveled that far. She asks him to find out the reason without Jian Yu's knowledge. Manager Shen visits Qing Shan at her home with a job offer, and she negotiates the offer for a 20% raise, to which the manager agrees. She reaches work the next morning and all the chefs start showing their discomfort, saying that she has come back due to her connections. But Trumpet is the only chef who takes a stand for her. After a while, she receives an order from 1123. She prepares the dish and takes it over to the room herself, but she gets disappointed seeing a different guest receiving the order because she was expecting Jian Yu to be there. When she returns, seeing all the other chefs cleaning their kitchen space because their new boss was coming for the inspection, she starts cleaning. Manager Shen arrives with their new general manager, who turns out to be Qing Shan's friend, Cheng. Qing Shan goes outside to speak to Cheng and demands if he's the one who took her back to work, but he denies. She also asks if Jian Yu has taken over the hotel and if he would return, to which Cheng replies that he's not aware of this. Sitting on Qing Shan's bed, Xu Zhao informs her that Jian Yu will be returning to Switzerland in the same taxi in which he drove here. She also says that he had to travel 10 hours to reach the city and had to face many difficulties on the way, and wonders why he had to leave immediately after kissing Qing Shan. Qing Shan says she left because she scolded him. Xu Zhao tries to find out if Qing Shan is in love with Jian Yu, but Qing Shan hesitates to reply to this. The former asks her to visit Jian Yu and confess her love by preparing him his favorite dish. Qing Shan starts cooking witch's brew in the night and leaves for Jian Yu's guest house early in the morning, but Jian Yu has already left, and she rushes towards the airport. He drives past her home, unable to find her there, heads towards the airport, but misses his flight. So Jian Yu decides to take the train. After finding out that Jian Yu had decided to take the train, Qing Shan ran to the railway station, but the train had already left. A passenger, running past her, knocks on her, and the soup gets scattered all over the floor. At that moment, Jian Yu walks towards her, smells the flask, and asks if he could get another witch's brew, and they both start laughing. Next morning, when Jian Yu returns to the hotel from Qing Shan's home, he's surprised to see Li Man waiting for him. He says to Li Man that nowadays she had started following him, and he's not used to such things. Li Man informs him that she has come down to check if Cheng is doing his job, and offers Jian Yu the witch's brew she had made for him. Jian Yu refuses to eat it, saying that it is quite inappropriate for him. At that instant, Qing Shan walks in, surprising him with a cake, and looking at Jian Yu with witch's brew in front of him upsets her. Li Man misunderstands that he has ordered a takeaway, but Jian Yu introduces Qing Shan as the best chef in the hotel. Li Man offers money and takes the cake from Qing Shan, which upsets her even more. Qing Shan wants to talk to Jian Yu privately, but Li Man doesn't budge, so she goes away by wishing them good luck. Qing Shan recalls the incident of Jian Yu's behavior to Meng Xin, Xu Zhao, and her uncle, and cries hysterically. Meng Xin consoles her, saying that Jian Yu is not close to Li Man, but she has been his secretary for a very long time. She was really upset with Jian Yu for eating her witch's brew. Meanwhile, Jian Yu has dinner prepared by Li Man, but he doesn't like it because he is used to eating food cooked by Qing Shan, so he pretends to be not hungry. She brings out the cake brought by Qing Shan, and looking at the tortoise design as the cake topping, Jian Yu smiling, says that she wants to wish me a long life like that of the tortoise. Liman expresses that Qing Shan must be a unique one. Hearing his secretary say Qing Shan's name surprises Jian Yu, but Liman quickly lies that he had told her Qing Shan's name during the introduction, whereas in reality, she had already got all her information from Meng Xin. Jian Yu relates how great of a cook Qing Shan is, and had been his personal chef during his stay in the hotel. Liman feels jealous and goes away, but Jian Yu was busy eating his cake. In the hotel kitchen, Chung addresses the chefs saying that Jian Yu and Liman will be inspecting their work. The chefs clap in welcoming them, but angry Qing Shan keeps clapping even after everyone had stopped. Manager Shun introduces Qing Shan as the most qualified chef, and Jian Yu had stayed back at the hotel due to her cooking skills. Liman agrees, citing Qing Shan had bought a cake as well last night, for which Chung lies that he asked her to deliver the cake. Since Qing Shan is praised for her cooking skills, Liman orders Qing Shan to prepare a meal for them, which makes Qing Shan very angry, but she starts preparing the meal. When the food is served, Jian Yu empties his plate enjoying the food, but Liman stops halfway through and sends for Qing Shan. Liman mentions that she wanted to discuss the Wellington stick dish because Qing Shan has used local mushrooms instead of the imported ones. Since every chef has a unique way of implementing the food, the standard of the mushroom had to be retained while replacing them. She questions Qing Shan if this was not taught in her school and asks about the school that she graduated from. Manager Shun tries to lie, but Qing Shan interrupts, saying that she hasn't attended any cooking schools, and her teacher has taught her that for any cooking, freshness is very important. The mushrooms that were used in the soup were fresh and young. She indirectly indicates that even though Liman is of Jian Yu's standard, he likes only Qing Shan. Manager Shun apologizes to Liman for not being bothered with what Qing Shan had said, and that she speaks that way because she's very young. Jian Yu excuses himself in the name of going to the washroom, but goes into the kitchen to meet Qing Shan, who appears to be very angry. Jian Yu convinces her that Liman just discussed the dish as she's also interested in cooking and was a graduate from Cotton University. Qing Shan just repeats whatever he said in a sarcastic way and points out that Liman's dish is expensive as well. He tries to reason with her in a logical way, but Qing Shan angrily responds that Jian Yu cannot have food served by two women. He accepts that earlier he used to eat dishes prepared by Liman, but now he's only used to eating Qing Shan's dishes, and that she's not a normal but a special chef. Qing Shan argues that for him she's just a normal chef. In fact, Jian Yu wanted to confess how much he likes Qing Shan, but he hesitates a lot in convincing her. Furious with him, Qing Shan asks him to go back to where he belongs, to which he responds that she will soon find out where he belongs. After reaching home, Liman informs Jian Yu that she will be returning to Switzerland the next day and encourages him to return soon. Jian Yu couldn't stop thinking about Qing Shan. On the other hand, Qing Shan finds out that she's going to have a new neighbor. Her uncle also points out that her neighbor seems to be very rich. Qing Shan mentions to her friend that her new neighbor seems weird, and at that moment Jian Yu enters, asking if he seems weird to her. Looking at him, Qing Shan runs away and shuts her door. Jian Yu knocks on her door, asking to borrow her kitchen and her cooking skills for a day to celebrate his housewarming ceremony. But Qing Shan refuses to help. A smiling Jian Yu enters her kitchen and starts washing the vegetables. At that point, Chung enters and is shocked to see his boss in the kitchen. Upon asking Jian Yu as to what he was doing, he replied that he had come over to meet his staff and will be returning now. Chung offers to walk him out, but he just moves to the opposite apartment and says that he has reached his home now. Chung appears confused and discusses with Jian Yu about the weird situation. Qing Shan just brushes away Chung's questions by saying that Jian Yu just wants to savor the dishes prepared by her. She asks him the reason for his visit, and Chung responds that there will be a chef training program in Sakura Hotel and offers to travel with him over the weekend to attend the program. Qing Shan readily agrees and they go out together, but Jian Yu stops them, wanting to know where they are headed. Qing Shan refuses to answer him, so Jian Yu tells Chung to give them a moment alone. Jian Yu asks Qing Shan if she would be free during the weekend. She informs him about going to the chef training program with Chung. He instantly feels possessive and objects her from going with Chung, but Qing Shan dismisses him by saying that it's none of his concern. Qing Shan goes out with Chung to purchase travel bags, and they end up buying 3 bags. When Jian Yu finds out, he thinks that one of the bags is for him, but Meng Xin clarifies that the 3rd bag is for Trumpet, who will also be traveling for the program. The trio arrive at the training program and enjoy the moment by clicking pictures. Meng Xin showed the pictures to Jian Yu, which Qing Shan had posted on Moments. But Jian Yu was not able to view the photos from his app, which Meng Xin guessed that he might be blocked from viewing her profile. Poor Jian Yu calls Qing Shan multiple times, but she doesn't answer his calls. Later in the evening, Jian Yu orders Meng Xin to book a room in the Sakura Hotel. Upon arriving at the hotel, Jian Yu and Meng Xin hide and watch Cheng moving close to Qing Shan in the process of teaching her archery. Looking at this, Jian Yu feels truly jealous. Both Cheng and Qing Shan reach a temple, offer their prayers and tie their wishing board. As soon as they are gone, Jian Yu comes to look at Qing Shan's wishing board, but he fails to recognize her board. He also ties up a wishing board and returns. Cheng clicks a lot of pictures of Qing Shan. Looking at this jealous, Jian Yu comments that clicking photos is no big deal. Meng Xin explains that capturing a woman's photo is itself an art, and one of his course advisor's wives had filed for divorce because the husband clicks bad pictures. At night, Cheng drops off drunk Qing Shan to her room. Looking at this, Jian Yu feels jealous, and Meng Xin stops him from going over to her room, convincing him that he will book a room next to Qing Shan's. Inside his room, Jian Yu tries very hard to find out what's happening inside Qing Shan's room, and tells Meng Xin to think of a strategy. Being with Jian Yu since morning, he had been starving and eating a banana, hiding from Jian Yu. On seeing this, Jian Yu hits him on his head, asking him to quickly think of a way. A waiter knocks on Qing Shan's door and gives a sleep burst. He goes to Jian Yu and informs him that there was a lady lying on bed and the door was opened by a man. Jian Yu confirms if they had clothes on, to which the waiter replies that the man had removed his jacket. He starts to go to the room himself, but Meng Xin stops him and offers more money to the waiter to check again. The waiter returns and informs that the man has left, and the woman offers him more money to bring her here, and Qing Shan appears behind the waiter. She asks Jian Yu what he has been doing here, and inquires if he's been following her all day. Jian Yu replies that he has come down to attend a business meeting. He then asks her about going on a date with another man in the name of coming to the training, to which she replies that it's none of his concern. Jian Yu confesses that it really matters to him and hesitates to speak further. Qing Shan storms out of the room, and he follows her and shouts that if she wants to learn archery, he will teach her, and if she likes photography, he will learn to take good pictures, and begs her not to date another man. Hearing this, Qing Shan blushes and turns around to ask if he likes her too, which Jian Yu replies with a yes. Just then, a few employees surround Jian Yu and Qing Shan signs him a love you and goes into her room. The following morning, when she arrives at work, Chef Lu scolds her for arriving late. Qing Shan points out that it's only 9 a.m., but Chef Lu informs her that all the other chefs arrive at 8 a.m., and it's been difficult to operate the kitchen due to her showing up late, and they start arguing over this. Manager Shen and Cheng walk in to announce that the Zhijing group had taken over their hotel, and the new president will be visiting them soon, for whom chef skills matter a lot, so they will be choosing a new head chef soon. Hearing this, the chefs start arguing that there is no need to appoint a new head chef, but Cheng tells them that this depends on their ability. He declares that they all have 1 week to come up with a special menu, and the best menu will be served to the chairman and will be appointed as the new head chef. While Qing Shan was busy preparing for the special menu, she received a call from Jian Yu asking when she would be free from work and that he was waiting at her home for dinner. She responds that she will try to meet him as soon as she's free. Qing Shan gets deeply involved in preparing the dish and loses track of time. Jian Yu, who had been waiting for her for a very long time, receives a call from Qing Shan asking him to come to the hotel to try her new dish. Meanwhile, she takes a bite from it but does not like the taste of it. When she was just going to throw away the dish, Jian Yu stopped her from doing so. He comforts her, saying that it's a difficult dish to prepare. Qing Shan tells him about the competition that's going to be held in the hotel, and Wellington stick is going to be a part of her menu. She wants to prove that her decision is right, and that the freshness of the food is the first standard. Jian Yu explains to her that Wellington stick is not an easy dish, and it can be used to test the cooking skills of a person. She offers him a bite, and Jian Yu admires her cooking capability. Qing Shan serves him the other dishes that she had made and asks his opinion. On hearing this, Jian Yu exclaims that by offering him to try all the dishes, she's cheating in the competition because he knows his mother very well. Qing Shan informs him that without his help, she would probably lose her job. Jian Yu agrees to help on the condition that she behaves as a student. When he is on the verge of eating his dessert, Qing Shan suddenly appears very close to him, dressed up as a student, which startles Jian Yu. Jian Yu takes her along in his childhood memories, saying how his father had divorced his mother and left his family. His mother had built the business from scratch, and the credit for the success goes to his mother. Chef Li also quietly overhears their conversation. Jian Yu says that no matter how well the dish is presented, if it doesn't taste good, then it's of no use, and tells her that that is all he can help, and the rest is all up to her hard work and cooking skills. Next day, while walking home, Meng Xin asks Jian Yu about his plans of returning to Switzerland, as this climate is inappropriate for him. Jian Yu confesses that he likes staying in this city and offers to rent an apartment for Meng Xin as well, but he smiles and leaves. Jian Yu sees Chung with a bouquet in his hand in front of the apartment and informs him that Qing Shan was at work and offers to give her the bouquet. Qing Shan walks towards them from the apartment and tells him that she had taken off from work that day. Chung informs that Jian Yu had mentioned her being out, so Qing Shan points out how the latter can be so childish and immature. But Jian Yu lied that he had seen someone like her walking away holding a bag and thought that it was her. She walks away to get some vinegar, telling Chung to go inside the apartment. Later, the three sit at the table to have the meal, during which Cheng and Jian Yu start speaking through eye contact. Chung reminds him that they are outside the hotel, so Jian Yu is no longer his boss, and Qing Shan and him have grown up together. But Jian Yu tells him that it's all in the past, and he's Qing Shan's future. Chung asks if he's going to stay next door permanently, to which Jian Yu replies that as long as he's here, Chung won't stand a chance with her. While eating the cake, a piece of cake gets stuck in Qing Shan's lips, and both the men fight over to clean it, but she cleans it herself without allowing them to get to her. Both the men start eating large chunks of cakes in anger, which looks really funny. In Switzerland, Jian Yu's mom, Miss Jiang, calls for Li Man and tries to find out the reason for Jian Yu staying back in Sunvai for so long. Li Man responds that Jian Yu likes a chef and is staying there because of her. This doesn't surprise Miss Jiang, and inquires why Li Man had not done something about it, to which she reacts that she's not that good. Miss Jiang says that the company needs Jian Yu, and she's very much satisfied with Li Jin's work, and asks her to book a flight to Sunvai as she wants to check what's so special about the chef. After arriving at the hotel, Miss Jiang meets her son. She asks her son if he's dating someone, and Jian Yu accepts, saying he's still chasing her. Miss Jiang exclaims, "What kind of a girl is that difficult to chase?" And Jian Yu says that he's aware that his mother would have already made a background check on Qing Shan. Miss Jiang reacts to this, saying Qing Shan is not a good match for him, and he must marry Li Man, whom he has known for a very long time. Jian Yu points out that they won't have a good relationship because they are just work partners. She suggests meeting other girls, but Jian Yu refuses, saying that Qing Shan is the perfect match. Miss Jiang walks out from there, telling him that she wishes to meet Qing Shan. Jian Yu describes the conversation with his mother to Qing Shan, but Qing Shan denies meeting his mother. After requesting a lot, she agrees and goes to her friend and uncle to prepare her for the meeting with Jian Yu's mother. Qing Shan has a playful personality, laughs at even small things. Xu Zhao starts teaching her how to behave in front of Miss Jiang, giving her a makeover and turning her into an elegant lady. When Jian Yu picks Qing Shan, he's shocked to see her because he had dressed very casually. During the meeting, Miss Jiang asks Qing Shan about her age. She replies that she's 21, and Miss Jiang remarks that her son has turned 36, and Qing Shan has way more formally to her age. Qing Shan replies that she's always matured in nature. Hearing Jian Yu tries to hold back his laugh. Miss Jiang requests her son to give them privacy. When Jian Yu walks out, Miss Jiang asks Qing Shan if she needs money. Qing Shan replies that her grandpa is old, and she must pay rent and manage other expenses, so she needs money, but she can earn it herself. Miss Jiang offers her money that can take care of her whole life, but Qing Shan stays quiet for a minute and bids goodbye to Miss Jiang without saying anything. Jian Yu comes inside to find that Qing Shan has already left and asks his mother about her opinion on his girl. Miss Jiang replies that she's not bad. Meanwhile, at home, Qing Shan and Jian Yu discuss the meeting, and she tells him that it's not wrong that his mother offered her money because there might be many girls who would be with him for his money. She starts pulling his leg, saying that she should have accepted the money when Miss Jiang offered. Jian Yu playfully holds her and places her on the chair, orders her not to speak that way in future, and leans in to kiss. Right at that moment, the rice cooker whistles. He lifts her in his arms and walks into the kitchen. On the day of the competition, Li Man, Manager Shen, and Chung were seated to judge the dishes. They taste all the dishes and announce Qing Shan as the winner, which makes Chung happy. Back at the kitchen, none of the chefs were happy, and Chef Lu provoked his colleagues against Qing Shan, saying that she has the support of Jian Yu. Maybe she will also be promoted as the head chef, because the chairman is none other than Jian Yu's mother. Qing Shan arranges a small party at her grandpa's diner and invites all her neighbors and friends along with Jian Yu. Jian Yu got nervous meeting so many people at once and had misunderstood that he was the only one invited for Qing Shan's party. The grandpa introduces Jian Yu as Qing Shan's boss to everyone. When someone asks about their relationship, he replies that Qing Shan is his girlfriend. Hearing this, everyone applauds. Grandpa comes over to Jian Yu's table to have a one-on-one conversation with him. He asks about his age and inquires about his wife and children, to which Jian Yu replies to his age and informs him that he never married. The grandpa asks if he's healthy, and Jian Yu says that he's very much healthy. They have a very funny conversation in which the grandpa also mentions that he has lent Qing Shan a lot of money, and no matter what happens to their relationship, he should make sure that she returns his money, because it's all his pension money. Qing Shan's uncle tries to scare him, saying that the people present there may not be Qing Shan's relatives, but they all care about her and cannot tolerate her getting hurt, so he warns him not to hurt her. Jian Yu watches Qing Shan having fun with her friends and family and is happy to see her happy, but she has too much to drink and starts dancing with her friends. After the party, Jian Yu carries a drunk Qing Shan home, and she pulls him closer to say that she's very hungry. Jian Yu starts to cook noodles, but since he was taking time and she was hungry, she starts eating the raw noodles with sauce, which Jian Yu tries too. They both recall the party, and Jian Yu mentions that he had a great time and was happy to see her happy. On the other hand, Qing Shan's uncle tries to get a confession from Xu Jiao about her feelings for Meng Xin by getting her drunk and having Meng Xin on call with the speaker. Her answer breaks Meng Xin's heart. The next morning, Cheng comes to pick Qing Shan and offers to drop her at the hotel. Qing Shan asks him if she won the competition due to her ability as a chef, to which Cheng replies it was not only him, but Li Man was also impressed with her cooking. He praises Li Man for being a good person and that they had been classmates. But this angers Qing Shan. Asking Cheng to stop the car, she steps out to take a ride to the hotel by cycle. Cheng was dumbfounded, wondering what upset her. This incident is seen by one of the chefs, who misunderstands and informs everyone that Qing Shan got out of Cheng's car halfway to the hotel so that no one doubts their affair. Upon reaching the hotel, Qing Shan is confronted by Trumpet about her affair with Cheng, which she clearly denies. In the kitchen, no one was ready to take orders for the menu from Qing Shan, and she started shouting. Manager Shin tries to calm down the atmosphere by explaining to them how critical it is to impress Miss Zhang. Failing to do so could cost them their jobs. Chef Lu excuses himself, pretending to be unwell. He was planning to plot against Qing Shan. When she reached home, Jian Yu was waiting for her at the door, but she asked him to leave her alone and close the door behind her. Jian Yu knocks on the door again after some time to find out that Qing Shan is in a bad mood. As per her request, he takes her to buy vegetables, which lightens her mood every time. Like always, Qing Shan purchases vegetables at a much lower price whenever she's in a bad mood. But Jian Yu was paying all the shopkeepers the actual price of whatever she purchased. Meng Xin had a deal with Qing Shan's uncle to have all the uniforms tailored, but he placed two conditions. One being why Qing Shan was upset, which Jian Yu had asked him to find out, and the second being about Xu Jiao because he had seen her with another man. Uncle assured him that he would find out about it soon. Qing Shan's mood lightens up after shopping for vegetables, and Jian Yu drops her home. While they were close enough to kiss each other, her meter buzzed, and then one of her neighbor uncles also walked past them, so they refrained from kissing. Once in their respective homes, they feel happy thinking about each other. Miss Zhang arrives at the hotel and is served the dishes made in honor of her welcome, but she finds all the dishes to be of low standard. This makes Qing Shan anxious, and she serves the final dish to Miss Zhang herself. On opening the tray lid, there was an unusual dish which released a bad smell. Qing Shan informs her manager that this dish was not made by her, but they don't allow her a chance to explain herself. Jian Yu defends her, saying that there might be a misunderstanding and orders that dish to be taken away, but Li Man starts explaining that the dish is called black truffle, which is one of the most expensive dishes, and since it is cooked raw, it is releasing a foul smell. Jian Yu forbids her from speaking any further, but since Miss Zhang wanted to find out more, Li Man continues talking, through which Miss Zhang concludes that Qing Shan is unhappy with the hotel's acquisition, and to humiliate her, Qing Shan has served her this dish. Qing Shan tries very hard to explain herself, but Miss Zhang refuses to listen and walks away. Manager Shen questions Qing Shan about the dish, but she refuses to accept that she had cooked any such dish. Since Trumpet had been working alongside her the whole day, he vouched for her. Chef Lu claims that there were problems between the guest, who was staying in room No 1123, and Sheng Nog, and she's taking out that anger on the food, which is affecting all their jobs, and blames Qing Shan for everything. Qing Shan asks him to leave Jian Yu out of this issue, as it doesn't concern Jian Yu. Chef Yu tells that even after working for a very long time, none of them had received a promotion overnight, whereas Qing Shan was promoted to chef within a few days at work. Before Qing Shan could say anything, Jian Yu interrupts and takes her out to speak in private. Jian Yu assures her that he trusts her and sends her home. In Cheng's office, Jian Yu calls for Trumpet, who had been with Qing Shan the whole day. Trumpet explains that Qing Shan had prepared mushroom truffle, but someone had exchanged the dish without their knowledge. Jian Yu asks him if he doubts someone in this matter, for which Trumpet immediately blames Chef Yu and Wang, who had been working in the hotel for a very long time, and they couldn't bear to watch Qing Shan grow in her job. Trumpet also suggests they check the CCTV cameras for concrete proof. Cheng mentions that they were not able to find anything on the cameras. Jian Yu then calls for Chef Yu and questions him directly if he had exchanged the dish, for which he clearly refuses. Jian Yu then informs him, as per the hotel rules, whoever uses an expensive ingredient must log them in the book, as per which Chef Lu had taken out black truffle at 9:15 last night. Chef Lu casually says that he had made a dish which turned out bad and had to throw it out. Jian Yu catches him in the lie and says that he had served his black truffle and hid Qing Shan's truffle in a dustbin. Jian Yu confuses Chef Lu in his own words and gets him to confess his mistake. Chef Lu mentions that in a short period, Qing Shan was promoted as a chef, but even after working for several years, he had been demoted. Chung secretly records all this conversation as proof of his crime, and they fire Chef Lu. Later that night, Jian Yu goes to check on Qing Shan at her apartment, but she was already on her way out because she had informed all that took place at the hotel to her uncle and Xu Zhao, who were truly angry at Li Man and were on their way to her apartment to lash out at her. Drunk Xu Zhao and Qing Shan's uncle start creating ruckus in front of Li Man's apartment. They blame Li Man for being jealous of Qing Shan and Jian Yu as a couple. At that instant, Miss Zhang enters, telling them it's not good behavior to shout in front of someone's house in the middle of the night. She tells them if Qing Shan has any problems in future, she needs to talk to her boss, Chung, first. Jian Yu walks in with Qing Shan and informs his mother that they have caught the real culprit behind the act. Qing Shan apologizes to Miss Zhang, but the latter heads inside the house. She also apologizes to Jian Yu and requests him to talk to his mother. Jian Yu requests his mother to forgive Qing Shan's friends, but Miss Zhang notices that her son has changed a lot and that he cares more about Qing Shan, and she insists that he bring Qing Shan over for dinner. Finally, Jian Yu agrees to have the three of them dine together. The following day, Qing Shan, assuming the role of a head chef, starts passing around orders, and this time her colleagues were actually heeding to her orders. Jian Yu calls for her, shares the news that they will be dining with his mother that night, for which Qing Shan requests for time to think about it because she was still upset with the previous meeting. Meanwhile, in a club, Xu Zhao moves very closely with one of her clients who seemed to like her, and to make him jealous, she calls Qing Shan's uncle to pick her up from the club with all dressed up. They both then head to meet Qing Shan in a bar and take their opinion if she must go out with Jian Yu's mom for dinner because their last meeting was very embarrassing. Uncle suggests that she needs to give another chance and meet Jian Yu's mom, as they will be meeting each other in future. Jian Yu and Qing Shan drive together for dinner with his mom, and looking at the gift, he mentions that there was no need for her to bring a gift. She tells him that it's a cake and explains to him how she has prepared upon hearing that Jian Yu's mouth starts to water. On reaching the hotel, Qing Shan asks him to go ahead without her because she had to give the cake to Chung, who had helped in exposing Chef Lu. Qing Shan steps into Chung's office and hands him the cake, thanking him. Chung offers to take her out for dinner in order to express his true feelings, but Qing Shan refuses to go out for dinner and heads for her dinner with Jian Yu and his mom. Nearing the table, she finds there are more people seated and not just Jian Yu and his mom. Chung, who was also present, was surprised to see her there. Li Man congratulates Qing Shan and asks her to raise toast to Miss Zhang, but she in turn insults her and doesn't drink to the toast. Miss Zhang insults her further by asking her to cook for everyone at the table. When Qing Shan goes over to cook, Miss Zhang raises a toast for everyone. Angered by his mom's behavior, he goes over to Qing Shan and starts cooking with her. Filled with embarrassment, Qing Shan runs away from there, and Jian Yu runs after her, but she catches a taxi and leaves. While walking towards her apartment, she saw someone approaching her, which turned out to be Chef Lu, who was completely drunk. Blaming her for framing him with the help of Chung and Jian Yu, he tries to break the bottle on her head, but Jian Yu takes the blow and saves Qing Shan. He then hits Chef Lu, who runs away from there. Seeing the blood drip from Jian Yu's head, she begs him to go to the hospital, but he denies and expresses his feelings that he cannot watch her getting hurt and can do anything for her as he's in love with her. Hearing this, Qing Shan hugs him and kisses him. Meng Xin, who was still chasing after Xu Zhao, finds out that the client, Lucas, whom she was with, has another girlfriend. When he was on the way to work, he saw Xu Zhao having lunch with her client, who comes out to talk on the phone. The client cuts his lunch in halfway, stating he has important matters to tend to. Meng Xin follows him to a hotel room and immediately sends a message to Xu Zhao with the details. On reaching the hotel room, she saw her client partying with other women. Seeing her enter the room, he asks her to join the party, but she slaps him on the face and Lucas in turn slaps her back. Meng Xin comes running to rescue her, but Lucas's bodyguards start beating him up. Lucas tells Xu Zhao that she has misunderstood that he likes her. Instead, she should be with Meng Xin, who is taking all the beating right now for her sake, and walks away. Xu Zhao starts to cry, but when Meng Xin asks her if she's all right, she smiles, which makes Meng Xin smile too. Jian Yu's brother Wei Zhang, whose mother had divorced his father and remarried. Zhang was young and had no interest in his dad's business. His mother tries to tell him that his father is unwell, and he may have to take over the business because his brother is still in Suvai. At Xu Zhao's home, she was treating Meng Xin's wounds and restricts him from getting into trouble again, but he confirms that it was all worth it. He hugs her from behind and confesses his feelings, saying that he will always protect her and begs her to make him her boyfriend. Xu Zhao smiles and asks him to protect himself first. Jian Yu and Qing Shan go out to a wonderful place where they have a very nice time. While clicking her picture, Jian Yu accidentally drops his camera into the water, and she teases him to jump into the water to get it. They both enjoy the view, and Qing Shan asks him about his previous girlfriends, and if Li Man had been his girlfriend too, to which he answers that Li Man has just been his work partner and a best friend, nothing more than that. Qing Shan then asks him the reason for his breakup in the past, which was due to him being a workaholic and not being able to give them time. Qing Shan worries that he might do the same with her, but Jian Yu refuses, saying that he would never treat her that way. Both wanted to know the moment they realized they were in love with each other, but they didn't answer at that moment. Meanwhile, Jian Yu's father, Min Ting, calls for a meeting in his office, hence invites his son Zhang as well for the meeting. But Zhang falls asleep during the meeting. The financial state of the company was not good, and it was difficult to find funding for the functioning of the company, since the loans were not approved as well. One of the shareholders advised that they should merge with Jian Yu's company, to which Min Ting yells his disapproval. Coming back to Jian Yu and Qing Shan, she gets to work on preparing a delicious meal for Jian Yu, and he couldn't take his eyes off her. Qing Shan had invited her friends as well on her date with Jian Yu. Qing Shan starts talking to Cheng, which makes Jian Yu jealous, and he signals Qing Shan's uncle, who calls Chen to sit with him for a discussion. When he was about to go and sit with Qing Shan, one of her friends came to him asking him to taste her dish, which worried Jian Yu a lot. Li Man tries to reach Jian Yu over the phone but receives no answer. At that instant, Miss Zhang walks in, and drinking an expensive wine together, she dreams about having Li Min as her daughter-in-law. Finding Jian Yu alone, Cheng asks about his relationship with Qing Shan, and he replies that she's his girlfriend. Cheng points out Jian Yu travels all over the world due to business and won't be able to give her his time, to which Jian Yu replies, no matter where he goes, there are always flights through which he can come back to Qing Shan within hours. He in turn asks Cheng if he thinks he can make her happy, to which Cheng replies with a yes, but Jian Yu contradicts it, saying Qing Shan is in love with him. Even though they don't know much about each other, they will find out as they have their whole life ahead of them. Min Tang, lying on his hospital bed, discussed with his wife regarding the current situation of the company, saying they need to act fast and teach their son about business. He thinks that if they marry Zhang off, having responsibilities might change him. His wife assures him that their son will start learning business matters soon. She also mentions that she's heard that their competition is Sencom Group, which is Jian Yu's company. Min Tang nods and states that Jian Yu is smarter than his mom in business matters. Zhang must learn fast to manage the business. As their date progresses, Jian Yu and Qing Shan expect that they might be given the same room, but Qing Shan ends up with one of her colleagues. Once in her room, she starts messaging Jian Yu and he asks her to come over to his room, but her colleague keeps talking non-stop, which bothers her a lot. She offers a drink, but Qing Shan refuses to drink but plans on getting her drunk so that she can slip out of the room. When she was finally out, she realized that she didn't know Jian Yu's room number and she had no phone on her. So she knocks on each door to find out, and on the way she meets Meng Xin, who is trying to find Xu Zhao's room. They both exchange room numbers, and Qing Shan hugs him as soon as Jian Yu opens the door without realizing that there were other people in the room. The next morning, after Qing Shan woke up, she didn't find Jian Yu but only a note from him saying he had to leave due to an urgent business matter. Cheng finds out that Jian Yu has already left and thinks that the time is right to confess his feelings for Qing Shan and waits outside her room, but looking at her walking out of Jian Yu's room breaks his heart. On the way to the airport, both Jian Yu and Meng Xin kept sending messages to their girlfriends. Back at work, Qing Shan's face lights up when she receives a call from Jian Yu, and she goes out to take it. Jian Yu regrets that he had invited her friends to play in his room, due to which they were not able to spend more time. They both say they miss you and disconnect the call, but Jian Yu kept looking at her photos in his phone, which Li Man notices and feels bad. While working in the kitchen, she receives a call from her aunt who informs her that her grandpa has fallen unconscious and is admitted at the hospital, and Qing Shan rushes over to the hospital. She finds out from the doctor that her grandpa is out of danger, but will be under observation. At that instant, Jian Yu's father walks through the hospital corridor. Seeing Qing Shan sitting outside a room, he checks with his doctor, and the doctor informs that the patient is also suffering from a heart problem, and they are not able to find the room. Lying on his bed, Jian Yu dials Qing Shan's number, but she doesn't answer his call as she was worried about her grandpa. A nurse approaches her and informs her that her grandpa has been shifted to VIP room, and Qing Shan runs over to see him. Meanwhile, in Min Tang's room, he was talking to his son about not handling any business affairs, and Qing Shan walks into the room and offers Min Tang dishes prepared by her as a part of gratitude. Next morning, Jian Yu sends a voice note to Qing Shan saying that he will be returning soon. Li Min, overhearing this, points out that they need his presence in the London office as they are facing some problems. So Jian Yu agrees to travel to London and deletes the voice message that he had sent to Qing Shan. Qing Shan's uncle visits her in the hospital and, looking at the VIP ward, wonders about the cost of it. But Qing Shan replies that the person in the next room had arranged for this room. They start guessing if the hospital charges have been paid as well, but soon their suspicion is cleared when the nurse hands them over the bill, and looking at the bill, they immediately start to shift Grandpa's bed outside, due to which Grandpa regains consciousness and asks about his whereabouts. Qing Shan pulls her uncle outside the room and says that she doesn't want to borrow money from Jian Yu for this. So Uncle offers her his card and tells her to use the money and she can return it later. After he leaves, Zeng comes out of his father's room and starts talking to Qing Shan. He praises her cooking and asks if she can cook for him. Qing Shan mentions that they own a small diner where he can eat food prepared by her, and he can also avail himself of a 20% discount. In the morning, Qing Shan goes out to purchase raw materials for the diner and then comes to work at the hotel. Trumpet inquires about her grandpa's health and offers her money. Even after refusing, Trumpet hands her the money, which makes Qing Shan cry. During all this, she receives messages from Jian Yu informing her about his activities and asking about her, but she keeps it casual without letting him know of her difficulties. After finishing her shift at the hotel, she goes to the diner and starts cooking there. She starts working hard and days pass by. One day, a customer at the diner complains that he found a hair in his food, which he lies with so that he can skip paying the bill. But Zeng comes to her rescue and threatens to call the police if he doesn't pay the bill. Qing Shan thanks him for helping her out and offers to cook him a meal. Qing Shan works at the hotel in the morning and at the diner in the night and visits her grandpa after closing the diner, which tears her out. She receives a call from the nurse handing her the hospital bill and informing her to clear the bill before the surgery, which will be held the next day. Right at that moment, Miss Zhang walks in and Qing Shan asks why she was there. Miss Zhang visits Qing Shan's grandpa in the hospital. She requests him not to bother Jian Yu in any matters and hands him her assistance card. She sympathizes with Qing Shan's current situation and mentions the reasons for not approving of her and Jian Yu's relationship because she is his weakness and will distract him from work. Qing Shan wonders, since their company is so big, how she can become a loss for the company, and that she loves Jian Yu very much. Miss Zhang asks if Jian Yu will be happy with her, losing his company and work. She tells a story of a king who sacrificed his kingdom for the sake of his love. Miss Zhang informs her that Jian Yu has traveled for some important work, and if Qing Shan mentions her grandpa's condition, he would come running, leaving his job. She dials Jian Yu's number, telling him that she's with Qing Shan. She hands Qing Shan the phone to talk to him about whatever she wants right away. Jian Yu apologizes for not responding to her messages as he was very busy, and Qing Shan asks him to concentrate on his work and not worry about her. Fighting back tears, she runs into her grandpa's room where she bumps into Cheng, who offers her help to cover the hospital charges. She promises to return his money as soon as possible. They go inside Grandpa's room talking joyfully, which makes him happy to watch them together. After a while, Grandpa meets Xu Zhao and Qing Shan's uncle in his rooms. They all start debating over the best match for Qing Shan. Xu Zhao takes Cheng's side, saying he's always been there for her, and even now when her grandpa is not well, he's the one who's by her side. But Uncle takes Jian Yu's side and says nothing else matters when Qing Shan is in love with Jian Yu. Grandpa had a successful surgery, which makes everybody happy. In his office, Jian Yu has completed all his work and announces that he will be going back the next day, but Li Man informs him about another job which requires him to stay back for one more day. Jian Yu agrees, and since everyone has worked hard, they all go out for dinner. But Li Man stays back to get some important work done on her laptop. She receives the call on Jian Yu's phone, and Qing Shan starts talking about all the things that took place in Jian Yu's absence. But Li Man interrupts her, saying Jian Yu is busy, and she can pass him her message if anything is important. Qing Shan simply asks for his callback and disconnects the call. Li Man deletes the recent call history from Jian Yu's phone so that he doesn't find out that Qing Shan had called. At night, Qing Shan walks home thinking about Jian Yu and missing him. The following morning, Cheng picks her up to visit Grandpa in the hospital and asks if Jian Yu is aware of Grandpa's condition, to which Qing Shan replies that she has not talked to him about it. They reach the hospital, and Grandpa sends Qing Shan to work, and Cheng stays back to take care of him. Meanwhile, Jian Yu has finished all his work, and Li Man takes him to a place where they had met for the first time. and tries to refresh his memory about the time they had spent together. Back then, one day when they had been working late and wanted to have dinner but were not able to eat at any restaurant, Liman decided to learn cooking from an international school so that after working hard, they could at least enjoy a good meal. Hearing this, Jian Yu thanks her for putting so much effort. In the hospital, Grandpa thanks Chung for taking care of him and tries to find out if he has a girlfriend and asks him to pursue Qing Shan. But Chung politely denies, saying that love can never be forced, and Qing Shan likes someone else. Grandpa recollects that Qing Shan's parents were in love at first sight, but their relationship didn't last for long, and they were finally divorced. He concludes that a relationship should not be just based on just love at first sight. Over dinner, serving Jian Yu a drink, Liman says that he likes Qing Shan a lot because she's young, and if Liman were to be young, she might have stood a chance. She regrets not confessing her feelings way back when they were young. Jian Yu says that he will pretend this conversation never took place, considering that she's drunk, and walks away, but Liman continues to drink more. Liman calls Jian Yu and requests him to bring her a towel. Jian Yu agrees to place the towel outside the door and says that if there is a door between them, they will always be good friends and work partners and nothing more. Drunk Liman starts confessing about not telling him about Qing Shan's call and deleting the call from his phone, which just angers Jian Yu even more. Qing Shan thanks Chung for helping her in this situation, and Chung indirectly proposes to her by saying that he would always help her in the future as well. But Qing Shan tells him that she would return his money soon, and walks away. Jian Yu arrives at the hospital and hugs Qing Shan, and without controlling herself, she hugs him back but steps away after she remembers her conversation with Miss Zhang. Jian Yu demands why she had not informed him about Grandpa's condition, and she had endured everything alone. However, she says that Cheng helped her, to which Jian Yu offers to pay him back, and she refuses to take his help. Jian Yu tries to reason with her, but she was not in a state to listen to him, so he carries her to his car to drop her home. He apologizes again and guesses that his mother had something to do with how Qing Shan was behaving. Uncle meets Grandpa at the hospital and takes Jian Yu's side, saying that he must be busy to not come to meet him. At that instant, he receives a call from Jian Yu asking to meet. When they meet, Jian Yu inquires about Qing Shan's behavior and why he was not informed about Grandpa's condition. Uncle clarifies that Qing Shan loves him a lot and didn't want to disturb him during work, but Jian Yu does not make her feel secure, which is his mistake. Since Grandpa is the priority now, he advises Jian Yu to take care of him. Jian Yu thanks him and walks away. Uncle receives a call from Qing Shan and they meet at his shop. Qing Shan asks Uncle if she's not a right match for Jian Yu, for which he sarcastically replies that they need to break up. Qing Shan hesitates and admits that they are not that bad of a match too. Uncle asks her if she still loves Jian Yu and clarifies why Jian Yu likes her instead of Liman, hearing her face brighten up with happiness. Looking at her son walking away with a suitcase, Miss Zhang stops him asking where he was going, to which Jian Yu says that he was going to care for someone for a few days. Miss Zhang scrutinizes him, but Jian Yu finally gets convinced that his mother might have bothered Qing Shan. Jian Yu tells his mother that no matter how hard she tries, his feelings for Qing Shan would never change. Miss Zhang remarks that it is this feeling which will weaken him and affect his career. At the hotel, Grandpa finds a note from Chung asking him to forgive for breaking his promise, and that Qing Shan will find a man much better than him. Chung had also left a note for Qing Shan telling her that he will be moving abroad for higher studies. Jian Yu walks into Grandpa's room with a lot of things and soup. After finding out that Jian Yu had not prepared the soup himself, Grandpa makes him keep the soup aside and to teach him a lesson. He makes Jian Yu do some work in his room. In the next room, Min Ting shares his concerns with his wife about his company's situation and worries about his son not being interested in business matters. Jian Yu arrives at Grandpa's diner to find Qing Shan at work already and offers to send over 2 chefs from the hotel to take care of the chores here, but Qing Shan refuses to take his help. So Jian Yu himself starts to help her with cooking and waitressing. Qing Shan makes fun of him, saying that he will give up in 10 mins. Jian Yu gets to work from peeling the potatoes to waiting on the tables. Jian Yu, holding the peeler upside down, wonders why his potatoes are not getting peeled. Jian Yu laughs and guides him to hold it correctly. Looking at his waitressing skills, most of the customers run away. Jian Yu cleans all the leftovers and the tables. Surprised to find no customers, Qing Shan asks where all the customers are, to which Jian Yu answers that there won't be any customers as it's already 1 o'clock in the morning. Jian Yu points out that the customers might have left due to his poor service. Jian Yu explains how he had opened beers for people and waited on them and worked very hard. Hearing all this, Qing Shan couldn't stop laughing. Jian Yu asks her to go on a date with him after 2 days, for which she sets a condition to bring in customers within 1 hour. Then she will think about going on a date with him. Jian Yu calls his assistant, asking him to send in a few people as customers to the diner. Within an hour, Meng Xin sends in all the bodyguards to the diner. Seeing them, Jian Yu calls his assistant again, wondering that he could have at least changed their outfits. He lies to Qing Shan that the customers they have might be working overtime in some company, to which Qing Shan agrees and adds that their boss must be very strict, so she would cook them a nice meal. Since they were all his bodyguards, they were all seated like robots, and Jian Yu had to pass them instructions to behave so that Qing Shan wouldn't get suspicious. Auntie visits Grandpa at the hospital and recalls the incident from last night of how Jian Yu had helped Qing Shan at the diner and that they look cute together as a couple. Grandpa calls for Jian Yu into his room and asks him of his employee strength in the hotel, to which he says almost 10,000 people. Grandpa explains to him that he has the responsibility of 1,000 people, and also his mother loves him a lot and has a lot of expectations from him, so he cannot run away from his responsibilities. But in a relationship, when one partner is tired, the other waits, so they lead the life with interruptions. Grandpa also tells him that since the day he was admitted to the hospital, Qing Shan has been leading a difficult life working at both hotel and the diner, and with whatever time left taking care of him, which has led to no time for herself. But since the time Lu Jian has returned, she has been very happy, and she loves Jian Yu a lot, so she won't give up on him. Jian Yu is very happy to hear this and assures Grandpa not to worry about Qing Shan. Grandpa now drinks the soup prepared by Jian Yu, which tastes delicious, and approves of him. On the other hand, Meng Xin cooks hot pot for Xu Zhao, and she recalls how in her childhood she used to watch hot pot on TV and wished to eat it, but coming from a poor family, she couldn't afford to eat out at restaurants. The hot pot made by her mother turns out bad, but when she eats hot pot after growing up, she admires how truly delicious it is. She pulls Meng Xin closer and kisses him, showing how much she loves him. Jian Yu takes Qing Shan to a secluded building and tells her that he has purchased the plot and shows her the painting which he drew for her. He hands her the paintbrush, asking her to paint on the wall, which would relieve her from stress. They both start painting the wall and on each other, having a fun time with each other. Later, they go out shopping for clothes for Qing Shan, and she tries on a wedding dress. Seeing her looking so beautiful, Jian Yu was dumbfounded and left, asking her to finish shopping, as he has some work to attend to. She relates this incident to Uncle, asking him about Jian Yu's behavior, so he teases her, saying Jian Yu feels that Qing Shan is forcing him into marriage and that he might break up with her. Qing Shan hugged her uncle goodbye, telling him that she will think about the reasons by herself at home. Jian Yu couldn't stop thinking about how pretty Qing Shan had looked in the wedding dress. Qing Shan's uncle takes her out shopping and chooses a beautiful dress for a party to which they both attend. Before entering the party hall, Uncle surprises her by saying that Jian Yu was waiting for her inside. On reaching the venue, Qing Shan sees Jian Yu winding up his speech and announces asking her to join him on stage. He introduced her as his fiancée, and Miss Zhang's expression was worth watching. She calls her son out and asks him the reason for doing this, to which Jian Yu replies that he will be very happy with her, and he knows that his mother wants to see her son happy as well. Qing Shan meets Zhang at the party and was shocked to find out that he was Jian Yu's brother, because they have no similar qualities. He tells her that Jian Yu was brought up with handling responsibilities from a very young age. They both start playing with the toy car at the party. Looking at his father outside, Jian Yu hesitates, but Min Tang just requests him to not buy his company and leaves. While returning home, Qing Shan couldn't stop talking about Zheng, which irritates Jian Yu. She also informs him how his father had arranged a room for her grandpa in the hospital. Jian Yu asks her not to engage with Zheng. After reaching home, Jian Yu was angry with Qing Shan and ignored her, but she kept irritating him. So Jian Yu lifted her in his arms and took her to bed. He moves closer to her, and Qing Shan nervously apologizes. Jian Yu asks her to stay away from Zheng. She nods in agreement, but then again teases him and runs away. Meng Xin prepares a romantic proposal for Xu Zhao at her office. He had a bouquet filled with hot pots. He proposes to her in front of everyone, but Xu Zhao walks away without accepting the proposal. In a restaurant, Meng Xin was crying about being rejected because their future wasn't promising, since he was just an assistant at work. Qing Shan receives a call from Jian Yu's mom asking her to meet. She takes her to a farm where she shows Qing Shan the fresh vegetables that she had grown and explains that whenever Jian Yu was home, she cooks him meals from his garden so that he gets to eat fresh food, because she's not aware what junk food he might be eating outside. Since she compared her food to junk food, Qing Shan tells her that she always prepares her meals from fresh vegetables. When Jian Yu returns home, he finds Qing Shan lying on bed with a high fever. Even after forcing a lot, she doesn't agree to go to the doctor. Jian Yu wonders how she caught a fever as she was all right in the morning. She informs him about meeting his mother and recalls an incident where Miss Zhang challenges her to remove the weeds from the plants if she likes Jian Yu that much, and leaves. When she returns, She finds Qing Shan removing the vegetable plants along with the weeds and complains that being a chef, she couldn't tell the difference between a weed and an actual plant, to which Qing Shan says that weeds are also living things. Hearing this, Jian Yu couldn't stop smiling, and Qing Shan asked him for canned fruits, for which Jian Yu tells her that it's not a healthy food to be eaten in this condition, but she insists on eating only canned fruits. Jian Yu starts preparing it and realizes how difficult cooking is. He feeds her the fruits, and even though she was not able to taste anything, she empties it. Qing Shan requests Jian Yu to stay back with her that night. When Qing Shan wakes up in the middle of the night, she sees Jian Yu busy with his office work and apologizes to him that he must take care of her and handle the office work as well, and she sleeps on the sofa being close to him. Next day, Qing Shan meets her uncle, and he asks if she and Jian Yu had spent the night together. She accepts and says that they only slept on the same bed, but nothing happened, for which uncle sarcastically comments that Jian Yu is such a gentleman. She asks his suggestion about what she can do for Jian Yu, and then comes up with a plan of sending him love meals. She packs up a meal for Jian Yu and arrives at his office while he's leaving for a meeting. She shows how she had prepared the love meal for him, but he tells her that he won't be able to give her the time as he will be busy with meetings, but she insists on going along with him. In one of the meetings sitting from afar, Qing Shan notices him being very angry at his staff. Qing Shan meets her uncle and tells him how impressed she is with Jian Yu's work skills. At a board meeting where everyone was discussing the Min Ting group, they had a new buyer. If this takes place, then Jian Yu will not be able to acquire his dad's company. Jian Yu decides to travel to Thailand to meet a wine group owner's daughter, Jenny, so that he can financially weaken Min Ting's company, and asks Li Man to find out about another buyer. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Min Tang finds out that Wine Group had canceled their contract because the company runs on Jenny's orders and Jian Yu had got her on his side. Zeng enters the room, and his mom inquires where he had been, to which he replies that he was at Qing Shan's food stall. This instills a memory in Min Tang that Qing Shan is the same girl whom Jian Yu had announced as his fiancée in a party. He meets her and requests her to call for Jian Yu because he couldn't get to talk to him if he calls for him. Jian Yu, on seeing his father, tries to walk away, but Qing Shan persuades him to give him a chance to speak. Min Tang requests his son not to acquire his company, but Jian Yu, angry with his father, asks him where he was when they needed him, and confesses that he had been waiting for this moment for all life, and is actually very proud of his mother. But Min Tang pleads to him that his company is everything and not to take it away from him. Also, Jian Yu and his mother just need the company to get back at him and nothing more. Jian Yu agrees to it and says that he has learnt the concept of heartlessness from his father and walks away. And Qing Shan was overhearing their conversation. Jian Yu was very angry and was hitting a sandbag. Qing Shan tried to stop him as he was bleeding and took him home. Jian Yu receives a call in the morning about the death of his father. They attend the funeral, and Zeng's mom reminds him of what his father had said in his last breath. Zeng recalls the conversation with his father, where he asks him not to let go of the company which he had built with all his power. Standing from afar, Jian Yu and his mother also attend the funeral. After the funeral, Zeng comes in to request Jian Yu not to buy the company. Jian Yu reminds him that there are no emotions that don't work in business, and if Zeng is sincere, he asks him to prove himself for the company. Zeng challenges him to remember his words and walks away. Zeng recounts his conversation with Jian Yu and travels to the company all dressed up and working sincerely. He tries to think of ways to save the company. Jian Yu again travels abroad for work, and before leaving he offers his card to Qing Shan and asks her to purchase whatever she needs. He kisses her passionately before leaving. However, Zeng meets his school friend at his office to discuss business matters. Zeng informs his friend they had acquired the Tao company that he had been working for and tells him to sign a guarantee agreement which states that if anything were to happen to Tao Group, Min Tang Group would handle it, for which his friend agrees. He receives a call informing him about Jian Yu's buying Min Tang's shares in Vancouver so that he can acquire Min Tang Group. Li Man explains to Jian Yu that they just have 42% shares, and if they purchase more shares, then they will be able to acquire Min Tang Group. Jian Yu asks about Zeng's movements, but as per Li Man's sources, he has not taken any action. Jian Yu finds it hard to believe because Zeng has 41% of the shares. He asks her to find out about the companies that were under the Min Tang Group. Zeng arrives at Qing Shan's place and says that he had no one to talk to, so she invites him inside and serves lunch. He says that he always wanted Jian Yu to accept him as his brother. Qing Shan assures him that she will handle it, to which Zeng pleads her not to tell him about their meeting because Jian Yu will not accept until he achieves something. Zeng offers him crab to eat, and Zeng starts vomiting immediately. On admitting him to the hospital, she finds out that he was allergic to crabs. Qing Shan goes to fetch some water. At that instant, her phone rings, and Zeng gives a devilish grin looking at the caller's name. Jian Yu, worried upon not receiving an answer to his call from Qing Shan, asks Li Man to examine everything properly. The next day, Zeng invites Qing Shan for a car racing competition at his shop. She comes along with her uncle and Xu Zhao, and looking at Qing Shan being very friendly with Zeng irritates her uncle. After the competition, Zeng invites them for a party, and Qing Shan agrees to go, and looking at Zeng place a hand on her hips, her uncle comes up with an excuse that her grandpa was asking for Qing Shan, so she refuses to go. Qing Shan goes to Zeng's shop the next day where he teaches her to run the toy car. When Qing Shan was eating a snack, the cream got stuck on her lips, which Zeng tried to clean. This makes her awkward, and she leaves from there. But this incident gets captured in the camera present in the toy car. Qing Shan's uncle comes over to her place and, looking at her sad face, asks if she had fought with Jian Yu, and when she was about to relate the incident to him, there was a knock on the door. Qing Shan opens to find Zeng at the door apologizing for the incident, and on hearing Uncle's voice, he walks in and joins them for dinner. Uncle inquires about Zeng why he's being close with Qing Shan, to which he replies that they are very good friends. Zeng receives a parcel and hands it over to Qing Shan, and she excitedly starts assembling the toy car, and Zeng joins her. Uncle receives a call from his wife who is unwell and was admitted at the hospital. So Uncle forbids Zeng from staying at her home for a long time and leaves. On the way back, Uncle calls Jian Yu and tells him that Zeng and Qing Shan have become close. Hearing this, Jian Yu calls Qing Shan, and she lies about her being alone since Zeng indicated her not to mention him. Jian Yu receives a photo on his phone in which Qing Shan was close with Zeng, which upsets him, and he takes a first flight back home. Seeing Jian Yu, Qing Shan was very happy and hugged him. He shows her the photo, and Qing Shan confesses that she had only gone over to play with the toy car, and the photo is just a misunderstanding. Jian Yu tries to explain to her since she's his fiancée now she must be careful about her every move, and Qing Shan nods in agreement. Qing Shan prepares a candlelight dinner and sends her pictures to Jian Yu, who refuses to come since he was busy in meetings. Jian Yu meets Zeng in his toy shop and asks him about the photo. Zeng denies knowing anything about it. Jian Yu asks him to stop playing silly tricks and to stay away from Qing Shan. Zeng admits that they like each other and their age and interests in both matches, and his mother treats Qing Shan like her own daughter. Unable to control himself, Jian Yu punches him in the face. Qing Shan walks in at that instant and questions why Jian Yu is causing a scene even after saying that he trusts her. Jian Yu asks her what she was doing there, but she asks him the same question. He asks her to come home so that they can talk, but she refuses, and Jian Yu leaves. Zeng acts innocent and apologizes to her, saying that most of the directors in the office have not accepted him, and it could be anyone who could have taken the photo, due to which she has been trapped. After this, Qing Shan meets her uncle and tells him everything that has happened. Uncle tells her that he had informed about Zeng being at your home to Jian Yu, so he had called her to check on it, but since she lied, it has created a misunderstanding. Later that night, Jian Yu arrives at Qing Shan's apartment and apologizes to her and admits that he was jealous of seeing her with someone else. Qing Shan promises not to meet Zeng again and throws away his toy car, and they hug each other. Xu Zhao meets one of her clients who misbehaves with her, and feeling awkward, she leaves and informs her director that she won't be working with him. The director tries to justify, saying that she's beautiful, and if the client is taking an advantage, let him, and she can complete the project and take the amount that she deserves, which upsets Xu Zhao. Zeng waited for Qing Shan below her apartment since she was not receiving her calls. Looking at him, Qing Shan escapes and only goes into her apartment after he leaves. But once inside, she finds Zeng standing behind her and asks if she has been avoiding him. Qing Shan asks him to leave at once, but Zeng starts acting emotionally and tells her that he wanted to sort out everything with his brother, and since his father passed away, he wanted someone to talk to. Qing Shan gets trapped in his words and goes out with him to drink, and once drunk she starts talking about how controlling Jian Yu is, and passes out on the table, to which Zeng gives out his devilish grin. Xu Zhao was upset, thinking that she had the reputation of a girl willing to do anything to keep the client in the company. On reaching home, she sees Meng Xin waiting at her door, and she lets him inside. Looking at her sad face, he tries to console her and asks her to take him back as his boyfriend so that he can protect her, and proposes to her with the ring. He confesses his love for her and promises to protect her at any cost. Xu Zhao starts crying and he consoles her. She tells him that she needs an apartment of her own, to which Meng Xin agrees that he will withdraw all his savings and borrow money to pay for the down payment, and will work hard to repay the money, and offers her the ring again. She suggested selling the ring, which would help with down payment, and asked him to bring her something to eat as she was hungry. On the other hand, Zeng carries a drunk Qing Shan in his arms and drops her off at Jian Yu's home. This upsets Jian Yu so much that tears start rolling down his face. Waking up, Qing Shan finds Miss Zhang looking at her and asks what she's doing there, to to which she replies that Qing Shan is at her home and Zeng had taken her home last night. Qing Shan asks about Jian Yu, and Miss Zhang, filled with anger, tells her while being in a relationship with Jian Yu, she was flirting with Zeng. Mrs. Zhang asks her to convince Jian Yu, and failing to do so, she can get out of his life but taking a blank check. Qing Shan starts calling Jian Yu, but upon receiving no answer, she goes to Zeng and takes him to Jian Yu's office to get him to admit nothing happened between them. But Qing Shan was about to fall, and Zeng grabs her, which Jian Yu sees and walks away without listening to her. Xu Zhao and Meng Xin were very happy, and they were selling the ring to take money for their down payment of house. Xu Zhao goes to uncle to borrow some money, who lends her 5 lakh yuan, which makes Xu Zhao emotional. Meng Xin goes to Jian Yu with an agreement to withdraw a 10-year worth of salary in advance to buy a house to marry Xu Zhao. Jian Yu asks him the amount that is required for the house and writes him a check for 5 million yuan, which was more than the down payment. He offers it to him personally without an agreement, and in turn Meng Xin must fulfill his dream, seeing which Meng Xin becomes very emotional, and thanking him he kisses Jian Yu on the cheeks and leaves. Zeng asks Qing Shan to clarify things with Jian Yu, upon which they might either break up or patch up things. Qing Shan goes to Jian Yu's house and explains to him that there is nothing between her and Zeng, and requests him not to ignore her, and asks him to talk to her. Jian Yu sees Zeng's car and tells Qing Shan that we need to calm down first, and walks back into the house. Back in the car, Qing Shan told Zeng everything, and she was very upset. Zeng tries to explain to her that if he is asked to calm down, that can mean 2 things, either break things up or patch up after some time, and suggests she go on a trip to clear her mind. Qing Shan agrees to it, but tells him that there's a turtle which needs to be fed in her absence. Zeng offers to take care of it, and Qing Shan gives him a spare key to her home. The day after, Jian Yu arrives at Qing Shan's apartment, but looking at Zeng, he asks him about Qing Shan. Zeng replies that she has gone on a trip since she was very upset, and he throws away their picture in front of Jian Yu, seeing which he leaves. The next day, Jian Yu arrives at Min Tang Group to discuss acquiring their company. The board of directors say that they need money, so whoever offers them the best price, the company will sell to them. The following day, Jing Group, who had taken over Min Tang Group, called for a meeting to select the new board of directors. Jian Yu walks into Zeng, who cunningly tells him that the Tao company, which had guaranteed them, had involved themselves in some illegal activity, due to which they have to sell the company and compensate the other company which belongs to Zeng's friend. After the meeting, Jian Yu tells Zeng to stay back and asks him when he had started his planning. Zeng says that if he's asking about him and Qing Shan, then there was nothing between them, but if he's talking about the business, then it all started when Jian Yu told him about having no emotions in business. Jian Yu admits that he himself got involved emotionally because he's getting old, to which Zeng laughs cunningly because he thinks that he has won. But Jian Yu starts talking further and says that since he used Qing Shan in all this, he must pay the price. Jian Yu asks him to sit down and explains to Zeng the games that he played against him and the trap that he set for him. He advises Zeng that he should not trust anyone in business and calls someone inside who turns out to be none other than his friend with whom he had signed the contract. The person with whom he had entered the contract turned out to be a part-time broker as well, so he shouldn't have trusted him, and since he had signed a new agreement with them, Zeng's agreement had turned invalid. It all started when Zeng had dropped a drunk Qing Shan at his home, and Jian Yu checked her phone, in which he found out that Zeng was the one who had contacted her every time and was trying to weaken her. So Jian Yu starts planning his strategy against Zeng without involving Qing Shan. When Qing Shan returns from the trip, she finds out the truth and gets angry for making her bait in the brothers' fight. She shouts at Jian Yu, who in turn hugs her tight and asks her to cook for him. Chung apologizes to his mother, saying that he tried a lot but couldn't save Min Tang Group. Next morning, Jian Yu and Qing Shan wake up next to each other, and he ties her hair with a spoon. Surprised, Qing Shan asks him where he had found the spoon, and he recaps the story of seeing her cooking in her grandpa's kitchen, tying her hair with a spoon, and at that moment, he had fallen in love with her. Jian Yu meets Zeng and asks him for forgiveness for not being a better brother, and since he has proved his capability, he hands back the Min Tang Group to him, which makes Zeng very happy. Qing Shan meets Miss Zhang at home and tells her that she will be going back to Switzerland and never returning. She wishes her son to come along with her and asks Qing Shan whom he would choose. If he chooses Qing Shan, then he would be abandoning his mother, for which he will live in guilt his whole life. But if chooses his mother, then he will blame her for the rest of his life for losing his love. But Qing Shan tells her that she doesn't want to separate a son from his mother, and that she would sacrifice her love because she loves Jian Yu so much that she can't bear to see him separated from his mother. Qing Shan ignores Jian Yu's calls, which worries him, and goes to his mother asking her what she had done this time, to which his mother smiles, and Jian Yu guesses that she had put Qing Shan through a test again. Miss Zheng asks him to invite her over for dinner, and she admits that she's very happy with her son's choice. Jian Yu rushes to Qing Shan's apartment, where he sees Qing Shan with bags packed and leaving. He tells her that sometimes he wonders if she really loves him, to which Qing Shan replies she loves him so much that she doesn't want him to fall into a dilemma of choosing between his mother and girlfriend because she knows how important his mother is to him. Jian Yu tells her that she is also as important to him as his mother and explains to her the conversation he had had with his mother, and Qing Shan was very happy to hear that his mother had finally accepted her. Jian Yu takes her home along with her luggage, and his mother greets and informs him that she would be cooking for them both. The scene shifts to after a few years where Qing Shan will be opening a restaurant of her own, to which first to arrive were Meng Xin and Xu Zhao, who were happily married, Cheng and Li Man, who were in a relationship, uncle with his wife. Zheng would be running his company just like his brother Jian Yu. They all celebrate the opening of the restaurant, and Jian Yu takes her inside and places a ring on top of a car-shaped cake and proposes to marry her, and Qing Shan accepts happily. With this romantic proposal, the drama ends. The end.